Patrick Cook here. Hey, so welcome to another series. I want to talk about why we do Mandelbulb 3D art. This discussion series is not about the Mandelbulb 3D application. Okay, and I've already done some of those. I think my other tutorials have done a pretty good job of outlining how to use this Mandelbulb 3D application. What I wanted to do in this series is to talk about why we do Mandelbulb 3D art. Why do we even do it? What's the benefit in it? What do we get out of it? Where are we going with it? All right. And share some of my own thoughts about my own experience with the Mandelbulb 3D application. Now, just to get us started here, what I've got on the screen, all right, is I've got the Mandelbulb 3D main editor right here. All right, I've got the navigator right here. And as we go along in this discussion, I'm going to kind of use these windows here to kind of maybe point out some points. This is not a tutorial on the Mandelbulb 3D application. All right, I want this to be a discussion about Mandelbulb 3D art. All right, this right here is the animation window. This is where the keyframes are kept. You know, I'll probably throw a couple of keyframes in as we go. All right, and I'm going to try to keep these sessions to around 10 minutes or so. Just so that we don't get too overwhelmed, to give you a chance to kind of digest some points. Okay? So let's talk about why we do Mandelbulb 3D art. Let's talk about that. And let's talk about that for as long as we need to. All right, let's just kind of get into it and kind of, at least from my perspective, let me share with you what I think this Mandelbulb 3D art is all about and how to be successful with it. Okay. Now, the first thing to understand is that this Mandelbulb 3D application is an application that is specifically designed to produce generative art. By generative art, what I mean is that a piece of software will run its code that will produce a graphic that you are not directly involved with the production of the graphic, although you lay the stage for the graphic. All right. For instance, here, if you take a look at the Formulas tab, in this particular graphic here, I've got 4 formulas: 1, Formula 2, Formula 3, Formula 4. And these are in the alternate mode, okay? And so I laid out the stage. I decided these 4 formulas, and I decide the properties, okay, of the formulas, but the application produces the graphic, all right? Generative art is what this is. Now, that doesn't make you any less of an artist, interestingly enough. Well, at least that's my opinion. All right. What that makes you is a conductor of this art form. It puts you in a lot of control, but you don't actually manipulate the brush. All right. You're not the brush swiper. The software is that. You decide the stage. You decide kind of where you want to go with it. All right. But you don't know what you're going to get. And that's the really cool thing about it. There's a very key concept that I believe is extremely important to understand generative art. All right. Or more specifically, what we're talking about here is the Mandelbulb 3D art. The concept is that generative art is a process of discovery where you set the stage, okay, you do some preparation, and then you let the computer, you let the software do the rest. And then you say, I like it or I don't like it. You discover. For example, here, let's take this one graphic here. All right, do I like that graphic? Nah, doesn't really have any, it doesn't say anything to me, okay? It might speak to somebody else, but it doesn't speak to me. All right, let's come down here to the navigator. Now let's just come here and, all right, let's take Formula 3 right here, all right, which is called A-Box Platinum B. That's the name of the formula. It's a name somebody came up with, and that has properties. One of the properties is scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to manipulate this. Now what happened here is that I increased the scale, and the scale increased so much that my camera is embedded into the fractal. Now that's not going to work for me. Let's just manipulate this scale, do something like that. All right. Okay. Now let's see what that looks like. Okay. Now I'm going to push that back to the main editor. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Still a little boring. But you see here what happened is that I manipulated one property of one formula and completely changed the graphic. This illustrates the process of discovery. And then you say, well, okay, I don't like that one either. And you wouldn't be faulted for that. You just don't like it. You come down here and you say, well, what happens if I change the fold property? Okay, whoa. Let's try that. Now let's push that back to main. Interesting. Do I like it? No. For me, that is doesn't really say anything. It doesn't say anything. It's sort of like is just object patterns that don't really seem to have any story. I'm going to talk about finding a story in sessions down the road of this series. But there's no story in that for me. But I did engage in the act of discovery. I modified a property. All right. I modified a property. All right. I sent it back to the main. Interesting. Okay. But it still doesn't really have a story for me. But in the last three manipulations of the properties down here on the navigator window, 3 times I tweaked a property of one of the 4 formulas in this case, sent it back up to the editor, got a higher resolution look at it, and said, well, I don't like that. And I went back and I tweaked it again. So this is the process of discovery. And that is one of the delicious things about the Mandelbulb3D generative art application. Now, other applications do this too, generative, plenty of them, okay? But in this particular case, you're getting an image. You're looking for an image that resonates with you, an image that says something to you, an image that tells a story, or the story as you see it. And that's the process of discovery. And the really cool thing about this process of discovery is you have like virtually unlimited graphical possibilities with the way that this Mandelbulb software has been designed. I'll tell you what, let's end this session right here, and when we come back, I want to talk about this unlimited graphic possibility. We'll talk about that when we come back. Okay? I'll see you there.